So, a new manhwa came out a few days ago. It's called The Runaway Lead Lives Next Door, and there are 10 chapters out at the moment, and a new chapter is going to come out in a couple of days. And I usually don't start reading a story until there are at least 30 to 50 chapters so I can enjoy it for a longer period of time. But I decided to check this one out, and I definitely regret it because this story turned out to be addicting enough where I felt that pain of not being able to read the next chapters upon reaching the end of that 10th chapter. If you frequently read ongoing series, then you definitely know this pain. Of course, it's a compliment to the author that they made the story this engaging that I want to read more. So far, I really like everything that I saw in this story. First of all, the art is really beautiful. The character design of the female lead is very cool as well. She's a strong, badass woman. She's a hunter, which is also pretty unique. I don't think I've seen a hunter female lead before. She's a hunter, so she's really strong, and she is also shown as a strong woman. She's a bit taller, she has broad shoulders, and I've never seen this body type in female leads of this historical romance manhwa before. So I thought it was really cool. Aside from that, she's a hunter, so she's not a noble. She's maybe middle class or lower class. She doesn't seem to be very rich, and it is also conveyed really well through her slang. The translators did a really great job making her speech different from that of the nobles or some other characters. The artist did a great job conveying her mannerisms, her poses through her poses. Like she slouches a lot, and it really adds a unique personality to her. Not just the way her body is drawn, also the way she behaves, the way she talks. I just really enjoy it so far. For the premise of the story, it's probably what I should have started with. The female lead got transmigrated to a novel as a side character, a hunter, and it turned out that she lives next to the original female lead of the novel, and this is where the story begins, and this is where all of her happy adventures begin to take place. So it seems like there is nothing unique when it comes to the premise of the story. We've seen a lot of these kinds of stories already where the female lead gets transmigrated to a novel as a side character. But everything I see so far in this story seems to be written really, really well. It doesn't seem very full of cliches. I mean, there obviously are some that are a necessity for the genre to be what it is, but it's not predicting that it's predictable, that it's boring. It's definitely very engaging. You really want to read more. The tone of the story is very funny, very comedic, which is a nice break for me because I've been reading a lot of depressing stories as of late, and so it was a really nice change of the mood. But while it's really funny, it's not like some of those other funny stories where you kind of can't read a lot of it at a time because it doesn't usually have a lot of plot development. It usually centers around being funny. This story, while it's funny, the plot is also very interesting, and the pacing is really good to the point where it really keeps you engaged and really makes you want to read more. Because the pacing is so good, you get a good idea of what the story is going to be like by just reading 10 chapters. Whereas, some stories are so slow where you will read 20 chapters and you still have no idea where the story is going. And it's not the case here. You get a good grasp on the kind of on the direction of the story, which direction the story is going to go, but it's not like you can predict everything about how it's going to end or how it's going to continue right away, so you still want to read it. So I think the author did a great job with that. The start of the story is really engaging as well. We are shown right away a scene where the female lead does her job as a hunter by killing some monster, which I also really enjoy. I like when there are some engaging, well, I like when the beginning is engaging rather than a long description of the history of the empire, like a Western continent was at war with the northern continent, and then the king of the southern continent united all of these continents and made one huge empire and became the tyrannical tyrant of that story or whatever. And then we're told about how he is the only one who can possess a huge amount of mana until he, or wherever it's pronounced, and then he died, and then all of that magic got transferred to all of the continents, and then everyone could become a magician or like a sword master or whatever. But there was a descendant. Okay, sorry, I'm really making it unnecessarily long, as it is in these stories sometimes. Or you'll get a different type of beginning where the female lead immediately starts by introducing herself, such as, "Hi, my name is Mary Sue, and you won't believe it, I am actually not from this world. I got hit by a truck in my old world, and now I am inside this novel as a villainess who is destined to die, which I'm not going to allow because I want to make a contract marriage with the Cold Duke of the North," stuff like that. So I really enjoy when the beginnings are a bit more full of action, which is the case here. So it's really, it engages you from the start and it doesn't let you go until the end. What really got me hooked though is the male lead. It's exactly the type of male lead that I love, my favorite type of male lead. Spoiler alert, he seems to be a yandere, or at least a two-faced person, which I really, really like, and I think it's going to create an interesting relationship dynamic given the personality of the female lead and his personality. It's going to be very interesting to observe. In fact, so far it's been very interesting observing her relationships with all of the characters that we've been introduced to. All of the characters are written in an interesting way, I feel like, and obviously we don't get to see a lot of their relationships developments, but we see how the relationships are starting to develop, and so far it's been really engaging and I really want to read more. And I think this is it. I didn't really prepare what I'm going to say in advance, which is why what I'm saying might not be very coherent, but I took some notes. I said engaging start, light-hearted mood, badass female lead, strong look, strong, very funny, her own body. I'm not sure if she's actually in her own body. Like, we're shown the female leads, how the female lead looked in her previous life, and she looks very similar to her current looks, which I'm not sure if it was intentional from the authors on the author's part, or if it was just the artist who decided to draw her in a similar way, because nothing was said so far in the story about her getting transmigrated in her own body, so I'm not sure it's the case. And I think this is all I wanted to say. Yes, I definitely want to read more of this story. I definitely recommend it. I give it 9 out of 10 so far, just because there really aren't that many chapters for me to get a really good idea of where the story is going to go. Like, I as I said, you get a good idea of what the story is going to be like, but I still don't know how the plot is going to develop, so I can't really give it 10 out of... I just didn't get enough of time to get immersed into the story to give it a higher score. But 9 out of 10 is a really high score from me. And I'm not an extremely picky reader, so what is a 9 out of 10 for me can be like a 5 out of 10 for someone else. But I personally really enjoy it. I personally recommend it if it sounds interesting to you. So yes, this is it. Just checked out this new manhwa and I just wanted to share my first impression on it.